Aloha guys! Today we are going to be looking at the Ultrapower UP610 Smart Charger. It is a 200 watt charger and can charge batteries at 10 amps. So in the box we have the instruction manuals here that gives all the information. It gives you all the warnings, how to use it, and a little bit about it, that the input voltage is from 9 to 32 volts, output is 0 to 30. You can charge from 0.1 to 10 amps, discharge 1 to 3 amps, and as I said, it's a 20 watt charger, so you can charge, the power is up to 20 watts. And you can charge from 1 to 6S. You can charge a whole bunch of different batteries, and we'll go over that when we look at it. On the back it shows more instructions about how to use and what all the other settings are for. We also get the charger itself, which is really small. If you compare it to a phone, here is an iPhone 5S. It is much smaller than it, so it's definitely a pocket charger and is great for taking on the field. One thing that is a downside of this charger is it does not come with a power supply, so you need to have a power supply to be able to use it. What I have is a 15 volt 6 amp AC/DC adapter, so I can only charge up to 90 watt power with this. So I can't go all the way up to 10 amps as I am charging. And because of looking at the charger itself, you have to have an XT60 connector and looking at the charger itself, you have to have an XT60 connector so that you can actually charge with it. I'm not sure if it will focus in on it, but as you can see there's an XT60, and right under it it says 9 to 32 volts DC, and then there is a little connector that you can connect it into your computer if there's firmware updates. There is a little wheel to control the menu, and then on the other side there is the battery XT60, so if you're going to be charging any other kind of batteries, you need an adapter from XT60 to whatever it is you're going to be using. And then a 2 to 6S balance port here, so it does balance charging. What I've done is I have made a little adapter for the AC/DC converter, and it's just an XT60 with a barrel connector here so that I can plug it in. When you first plug it in, it shows up as the logo, and you can see here that automatically there it gives information, gives you the volts, the amps, and then how much is charged into the battery, how many milliamp hours, and then the time. It also shows the information here about the volts of each cell, and there's a temperature and how much power is actually being put into the charger. If you press and hold the wheel, you can change the language. Actually, you cannot. It is only in English. You can change the max input power from 220 watts all the way down to 90 watts, so it depends. And you can change the minimum input voltage. So if you're charging off of a car battery, you stick it at 12 volts so that it doesn't over discharge the battery. And if you're charging from a certain milliampere battery, you can also do that so that it will not overly discharge the battery that you're using. And you can set a timer, so usually you shouldn't be charging for very long anyway, and you should always be with it, but you can set a timer there. You can change the backlighting so that it is brighter, and you can change the volume, turn it off or have it really loud. There's information about the firmware, and there's the website here, ultrapower.hk, so that you can go and do that, see if they have any firmware updates, and then you can do a factory reset. And so let's plug in a battery. Here I have a 1300 milliamp hour battery. It's 4-cell, so we plug it in here. And one thing that I did notice is that the balance cord seems to be upside down when you do it, so it twists it in a weird way. And so all of my cords are twisted up because I feel like they're backwards. It should be the balance cords over there and the XT60 plug over here. That is my biggest concern with this, as it's just moving the cords around, but that's not too much of an issue. And as you see here, automatically it says that it's 15.14 volts, and it gives me each cell, so 3.78, and that's the only information you get right there. Then you can just press this quickly and it goes in. It says you can charge LiPo, Li-Fi, lithium-ion, high voltage lithium, NIM-H, and then NiCad and lead batteries. You can charge from 1 to 6 cells set here. And then there's 3 modes: charge, discharge, and storage. In charge, you can set the current from 0.1 to 10 amps, depending on how big your battery is and how fast you can actually charge your batteries. So if you're parallel charging, you can go all the way up to 10 amps if your power supply is big enough. And then you can have the cutoff from 0.18 volts to 4.25 volts. So if you want to put a little bit more into your batteries, it degrades them faster, but some people like to do that. In discharge mode, you can pretty much do the same thing. Set the discharge from 3.3 volts to 3 volts, depending on how much you want to discharge it. And it should discharge at a maximum of 3 amps an hour. 3 amps, not 3 amps an hour. And then the storage, it will automatically put it to 3.8 volts. If it's below 3.8 volts per cell, then it will charge it up at whatever current you set it here. And if it's above it, then it will discharge it down to 3.8 volts. And once you want to charge, you just click start, and it should start. It'll turn the screen blue, and it will show you how many amps are going in, the time passed, and the milliamp hours gone into the battery itself. In here also, if you scroll down, you can see the internal resistance of each cell of the battery, but you have to wait for it to charge up a little bit more, and then it should show up. And then here it also shows the temperature. An interesting thing, if the temperature gets too high, there's a fan here in the back, so it will cool it down and help it when you are discharging. That will turn it on automatically. So I'm going to set this here and see if we can get the, oh, there's the internal resistance. So you can see the internal resistance of each cell, and that will be constantly changing depending on the charge of the battery, and it's a good way to measure the health of the batteries. When it's done, this will beep at me and it changes it green. Up here in the left corner you see how much it's been charged. And I'm not sure if you can hear the fan, but it is started because it is charging at such a high amp rating. Anyway, I think that this charger is fantastic. It has all the features that I would need for a quick field charger or just a quick on the bench charging. It also has great information like the internal resistance and the voltage of each cell. The biggest gripes that I have about it are the amount of adapters you need from XT60 if you're going to be charging any other batteries but like main LiPo batteries that use an XT60, and then the plug has to be an XT60, which is great for if you're going to be charging off of another battery out on the field, but if you're in your house, you're going to need to either buy an adapter or build one like I did. I think it's a great beginner charger if you have all the right tools. There are some other ones that come with the AC/DC adapter. So if you want to plug and play, this is not for you. But if you are looking for a better smart charger, I would definitely get this one. It's not too expensive and very small and portable. Anyway, have a great one and aloha.